The first step in this problem is algebraically determining the zeros of p of x. So I'm going to set p of x equal to 0. As I write this function, I notice that we have 4 terms, so I'm expecting to use grouping to factor. So the GCF of the first 2 terms is x squared, leaving me with x minus 1. And in the second set of terms, I have a negative 9 for a GCF, which changes the negative 9x to a positive x, and the positive 9 to a negative 1. From here, my common binomial factor is x minus 1, so I take that out, leaving me with x squared minus 9. Now I could further factor x squared minus 9, but I am going to use the method of incomplete quadratics when I get to that term. So solving from x minus 1 equals 0, I get x equals 1. And from x squared minus 9, I get x squared equals 9. So when I take a square root, I get x equals plus or minus 3. Now I have a basic idea of what this graph is going to look like. I know what its roots are. And I know that it's going to have a shape like this because it's a positive x cubed graph. But we do have to graph this exactly, so I am going to use my calculator. Now I am going to talk through this, but then also pause the video to draw in the graph and talk about it further. The first thing I notice when I graph this on my calculator is that it goes out of a 10 in each direction window, or the zoom standard. So I am going to change my y-axis to go up to down to negative 20 and up to positive 20. So I'll label that on here. There's no need for me to change the x window, so I will just use negative 10 to 10. And I notice there's 10 grid lines, which makes this work nicely. So there is my graph. Hopefully yours looks better than mine because you're not drawing on an iPad. Points I also should label because I'm drawing the graph of p of x are the minimum and maximum points. So using my second calc min function, this point is 2.1 comma negative 5.0, and that is rounded. And the other point, my maximum, which is here, is negative 1.4. And I'm going to switch colors for that one so you can see it a little better. So negative 1.4 comma 16.9. And as I said, if I used a 10 by 10 window, I would not have been able to see that maximum. Because I have grid lines, I can also see that my zeros of positive 3, 1, and negative 3 match up with the zeros that I found algebraically. And lastly, I'll label this graph y equals p of x. Or I could write out the whole function, but that's a little quicker.